Good evening, Oorsee family. So I wanted to do an update uh, about the immigration issue, refugee status, because the U.S. Embassy and Consulate in South Africa actually put out some updates. What they did was post on the U.S. Embassy and Consulate website some frequently asked questions and answers, and it answers quite a few things, and it doesn't answer quite a lot of questions. So I want to go through what does it answer, what does it not. Right. So first things first, on their website, on their release, they categorize who is a refugee. And we've done quite a few videos with immigration lawyers, and we've also looked into uh, the USCIS website, and I've actually been to the USCIS offices a couple of times. I try and go there at least every 2 weeks at the moment to go get updates. So they just really explain what is a refugee. So, under the US law, a refugee is a person who is outside of their country or nationality. This is when you apply and then when you arrive as a refugee, right? But really, what we need to look at is when you apply in South Africa, you're not a refugee yet. You're just applying for refugee status. So, you're not a refugee until, by this definition, you arrive in the US. Okay, and then certain kind of legal status applies to you as a refugee. But I want to take you back to the US Refugee Admissions Program, or USRAP, and they have four classifications of refugees, right? Priority one, or P1 refugees, is war-torn areas, not really applicable to South Africans applying. P2 is the group that South Africans would apply under. Now, P2 can be stipulated by the president, and that's what's happened here. President Trump specifically singled out minorities in South Africa. Initially, it was only Afrikaners, but we've had clarification from the U.S. Embassy and Consulate in South Africa that it actually applies to minorities. Anybody that's been affected by the government, that's been marginalized, singled out, uh, oppressed, you're in that P2 category. P3 and P4 is not really relevant. So if you look at the refugee status under US RAP, that's the program that sets these boundaries. You will qualify as a South African, a minority, under the P2 classification, right? So that's who is a refugee. You will only be classified as a refugee once you arrive in the US. While you're still in South Africa, you can't claim refugee status. You're only applying for it. Okay. Uh, the next question that they answer is, what is the United States Refugee Admissions Program? This is the USRAP. So the USRAP is a legal pathway through which individuals under the US law may be resettled in the United States. So refugees must apply for permanent residence 1 year after arriving in the United States, right? And then refugees might then become a US citizen 5 years after the date of their admission to lawful permanent residence. So basically, you will apply in South Africa for refugee status. Once you arrive in the US, then you apply as soon as you can for a green card, right? within that first year, you apply for a green card. Once you have the green card, the refugee status becomes irrelevant. You will be a permanent resident in the US, just like anybody who's applied through work permits or somebody who married a US citizen, and you will get permanent residence or the green card, as it's commonly called, right? And that starts your 5 years. And after 5 years, or actually 4 years and 9 months, you can apply for your permanent, no, then you can apply for citizenship. After 4 years and 9 months, like we've just done recently, you apply for citizenship, and that's when you can go for the ceremony and you swear the oath and you become a US citizen and you get an American passport, right? The next topic that they discuss is, do I need to pay a fee to access the USRAP? Very important here. Access to US Refugee Admissions Program is free. And they warn, they literally, the next sentence is, they're like, beware of any scams or potential exploitation. No one should pay any fee or favors in return for access to the program, or unauthorized individuals claiming to be able to assist or expedite your resettlement case. Now, every time we do a video for Oorsee, we are so adamant about this. You shouldn't pay anybody. You shouldn't pay any fees. If anybody claims they can help you get it done quicker, or you need to pay them to get in front of the line or whatever, that's just bullshit, right? Now, if you want to make sure you qualify, or if you want to try any other way of immigrating to the US, yes, talk to an immigration lawyer. They might get you a way to come across through an intercompany transfer, work permits, spousal visas, family visas, all that type of stuff. It's complicated. Yes, you need an immigration lawyer. But applying for refugee status, that's absolutely nonsense. You shouldn't need an immigration lawyer. Okay? Now, the next question they answer is, who is eligible for a referral to the USRAP? Okay? Now, their answer is the president defines who may be eligible through presidential determination on US refugee admissions or a report to Congress on proposed refugee admissions. What this basically means is President Trump stopped the whole refugee program in January when he became president. And this, his presidential letter, the proclamation he did, that was afterwards. So he kind of stopped the refugee program, but he said these people in South Africa are struggling. You have to remember that this is all political. South Africa, the South African government went against the US, made a lot of deals and things that President Trump didn't like, including deals with Iran, going after Israel, at the world courts, stuff that the US did not appreciate. Okay. And it kind of prompted him to make this statement and to do this presidential edict or letter to say that Afrikaners are being oppressed, minorities are being oppressed. But we have to understand that he has a lot of other priorities, right? This is not high up on his to-do list, okay? So he's made this statement that South Africans can apply for refugee status. And he also made statements to say that he will talk to the Department of State and the Department of Homeland Security, the two agencies that are involved with refugees. Okay? So he's already made the statement who qualifies, but the process is still to be determined. Now, the process through USCIS, that's kind of the next question that's answered. So, what are the steps involved in this USRAP processing? Now, I did a previous video going through all those steps. A lot of people questioned whether this would be the actual steps because President Trump hasn't decided or finalized what's going to happen. But that's irrelevant. The president decides that things need to happen now, but there's always a process involved. And the process that they've now listed on the US Embassy and Consulate website is exactly the process that I described in a previous video. That's just the process. You go through the US RAP system. You are going to be pre-screened and interviewed in South Africa. You will then be passed on to the USCIS. They have a whole system. If you want to go through all the detail, go back to that video where I discuss it in detail. Your flights will be arranged once you qualify. You will pay for those flights. It's not free. They will give you kind of a loan to get you to the US, and you will be required to pay it back once you get a job. They will help you settle. I go into all that detail in that previous video. So that's what they answered now in this recent kind of response to frequently asked questions. They actually post the same link on that answer that I posted a couple of weeks ago. So we know the information is correct. You will go through that vetting process. Right, so go and watch that video. The next question they answer is, can I just fly to the US now and claim asylum? Well, no, because they're very adamant. Asylum is a different process. Asylum and refugee status are not the same, and you cannot just fly to the US and claim asylum. Asylum is something different, right? And we don't want anybody in South Africa to go and try and claim asylum status. That's a different process, different kind of rules. You won't be allowed to work in the same way. You can't apply for your citizenship in the same way. So that's very important. Do not get on a plane and just fly to the US and think you're going to skip the line and be clever in that way. You are going to ruin your chances to apply for refugee status, right? Then the last thing that they discuss on this is, can I maintain citizenship from my country of origin after becoming a US citizen? Obviously, a lot of people ask this question. A lot of people are concerned that they might take this opportunity to go to the US, get citizenship, or get at least a green card, and then they can come back and sort out their affairs in South Africa, maybe only then sell property, businesses, collect family, pack up. This is not how a refugee status works, right? Under the P2 classification that I mentioned at the start of the video, you are categorized as a community or a minority that's being oppressed and put in danger in your own country, right? Now, whether you feel that or not, that's kind of the reality that you're going to have to sell when you have your refugee interview. You are going to have to claim that you're being oppressed and that life in South Africa is dangerous to you specifically as part of a group, right? Whether you're like colored in Cape flats and you're feeling there's so much danger, or you're a farmer in the Free State, or you're living in KwaZulu-Natal and there's just too much violence, you're going to have to make your case on an individual basis when you have your interview, and you're going to have to tell your story. It's a narrative. You're going to have to tell your story that you fear for your life and you fear for your family. That's why the US should give you refugee status. Trump has already said, as I mentioned, he believes we have reason as minorities in South Africa to feel endangered. So your kind of case is already made. But if you come there and you tell a story of you're just white, you're just a farmer, and you want to go and get your US visa, then you're coming back to pack up your farm and sell your wildlife and all your kudus and palas and God knows what you have, that's not going to fly. You will have to apply for that refugee status, and when you leave, you're gone. Right? You're gone. Yes, you can return at some point later once you get your green card. Maybe you can explain to the immigration officer you went back for a family funeral or whatever. But you can't go back in the winter just to go shoot that Roland Ward trophy and then go back to the US. You're going to have to explain to them how you find it's safe enough for you to go back and hunt, but it's not safe enough to live, or safe enough to go back for your mother's birthday if she doesn't want to leave, or your aunt's wedding, whatever. You have to understand what the refugee status and visa means. You're fleeing a place that's not safe to go to the US to feel safe. So it doesn't mean you'll never be able to return to South Africa. You can go there under special conditions, but you have to understand it's going to be a while. Even, and I spoke to a well-known US immigration attorney called Dawn Fastfeld about this specific issue. And you don't want to have that conversation when you get back in the US after your lovely holiday in Cape Town to explain why you went on holiday to a place you just said you were escaping from for fear of your life. And that's what people really need to get into their skulls is refugee status means you're fleeing away. So you can't just up and go back and then think they're going to let you back in when you have your return flight. So that's where I want to leave it for today. I've answered or gone through all the kind of updates they posted yesterday or the day before on the US Embassy and Consulate website. We will keep doing these videos. If you have specific questions, put it in there in the comments and we will reply to that. And we wish everybody a successful application process. Thank you.